Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I wanted to follow up yesterday's gratitude challenge introduction with some specifics because I got a couple questions from you about sort of very granular, very detailed specifics. So I will answer those for you today. What does an actual gratitude practice look like? Honestly, it is so simple. For instance, if you want me to be very, very granular and specific, wake up in the morning. Here's what I want to say around that. The biggest reason why people don't get benefit out of a gratitude practice is because they have not made space in their life to actually implement it, to actually do it. The hardest part of a gratitude practice is just doing it. And I go into a lot of teachings in my work around how we train the brain and the body to create habits that stick, and how we actually implement things that we want to implement. There's a lot of brain science that goes behind that. But if you want to try it on your own, make space in your schedule. In other words, wherever you plan your day, whether that's in your iPhone or on a planner, physically block off the 5 minutes that it takes to do the gratitude list. Don't just try and remember it. Don't just try and think that you will remember in the morning. Your brain is so habitual that it drives you to do the things that it's always done. And so unless you disrupt that pattern, that habitual pattern, it will forget, or it will pull you down the path that it always goes on. So you have to make space for this. So write it down, make a sticky note, make a Post-it, schedule it in your calendar, whatever it takes. Just the 5 minutes, create that space. And then the actual practice of it, quite literally, is so simple. One of you asked me if you actually had to write it down or if you could just think about it. Personally, I believe that writing it down, physical pen to paper, is the best way to do it. There is something, I don't have the science or the studies behind it to explain why, but there is something that happens in the shift from sort of thinking something and then physically writing it on the paper that kind of wires it in the brain. I'm sure there's a study on it somewhere, but my preference is to have it physically written down on paper and not actually typing. So, well, let me start by saying anything is better than nothing. So if you prefer to write it on an iPad, or if you prefer just to think about it, do that. 100% do that. My personal preference would be that you're physically writing it down on pen to paper. And quite literally, it can be 3 to 5 things. Like I said yesterday, the biggest impact is just that you take the second to feel it. So best. Physically write it pen to paper. Next best, write it down on your iPad or wherever you keep your notes. Next best, just think about it. But each of them, you want to be taking the moment to feel what it feels like to be grateful for those things, okay? So that's the actual granular application of the gratitude list. You can do that in the morning, you can do it in the evening, you can do it multiple times a day. The more you do it, the more you are training those neural pathways to look for things to be grateful for. So if you want to do it 3 times a day, that's better than 1 time a day. 1 time a day is better than 0 times a day. So just make sure you at least do it once, especially this week. Hopefully, there's all kinds of be grateful. It's Thanksgiving week. So there's all kinds of cues out there for you to do your gratitude list this week. So hopefully you aren't having trouble doing that. I'm going to switch gears really quickly and start talking about Thanksgiving, which is coming up, and just what I want you all to be thinking about in preparation for Thanksgiving. And I'll talk more about this tomorrow. But we have been practicing up until now, right? We've been practicing thinking with the end in mind. How do I want to feel? We've been thinking and practicing, is it worth it, right? So I want to incorporate those, and we did the sugar challenge, right? And I want to incorporate those mental processes into your plan for Thanksgiving. Now, some people would argue that having a plan for Thanksgiving feels restrictive, right? I completely disagree with that. There is evidence to support mental rehearsal in that when you rehearse in your mind ahead of time what you would like to happen before an event, you are much more likely to recall that information when the event comes up. So for instance, in this particular instance, we're talking about Thanksgiving. And it is not, in my opinion, because vibrationally, we have the choice on whether or not we think things are restrictive, right? I don't think I've talked about that yet, but I will. For me, it is empowering. When I work with my clients, it feels empowering to them to have a picture, a plan in their mind. Now, there's a difference between forcing yourself to stick to a plan that you've made, and so that being one option, and the other option being to create a what's the word I'm looking for? Scaffolding, create supports, create scaffolding for the day of Thanksgiving. I will have a plan. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm bringing. I know what my family's bringing. I know what will be there. And I have some idea of how I would like that day to feel when I'm going home. That's the key point. Is it's not so much about the content, right? How many calories in the turkey and how much turkey can I have? It's less about that and more about, I would like to leave that event at my sister's house. I would like to leave my sister's house feeling confident, empowered, happy, not overstuffed. I don't like the feeling in my body of feeling overstuffed, right? So I'm going to plan for how I would like to feel when I leave. What things feel worth it, how much feels worth it. I am committed to staying connected to myself and my body and asking how many bites. People make the mistake. Here are the things that I don't want you to do on Thanksgiving. Do not skip meals in an effort to set yourself up to have more on Thanksgiving. Do not skip meals. Your body doesn't like that. If you want to eat lighter in the morning, or if you want to eat lighter the next morning, all of that is fine. But do not skip meals or start restricting your calories or reducing your calories for the sake of being able to earn more on Thanksgiving Day. Trust your body that if you stay connected to, is it worth it? How much do I need? Am I full? Do I want more? If you stay connected, your body, even if you eat extra calories on Thanksgiving, it absorbs that. It knows what to do with that, right? We mess all of that up by all of the mixed signals that we send it. Restriction, which puts the body into, what are we doing here? Why have you not fed me for the whole day? What are we doing? Do I need to hold on to these calories? Why has there been no food entered into my body, right? And it starts to, respond to your stress over it. So don't restrict your calories. Don't skip meals. Don't not allow yourself to have food. If it's a, how do I want to say this? And if energetically it feels better for you to eat lighter in the morning or eat lighter the next day, that's all fine. But I'm talking about an energetic skipping of food. In other words, it looks like I'm not allowed to have food because I want to have enough calories for dinner, so I can't have any calories in the morning. Energetically, that's not the right way to go into the day. Go into the day trusting your body. Go into the day with a plan, with a vision for how you would like to feel after the day is over. And then here's the most important part. I don't care what happens on Thursday. The most important decision you will make is what happens on Friday morning and then throughout the weekend, okay? So remember that no matter what happens on Thursday, Friday morning is your most important decision. I teach a lot about that in my courses and why. Where was I going with that? Okay, so I have a plan on Thursday for just how I want to feel when I leave. It's not strict, it's not restrictive, it's not that I have to follow this detailed plan. It's just a commitment to myself that I have an idea of how I would like to leave that day feeling. I am someone who I don't feel good when I'm overstuffed and have eaten too much. I prefer to eat smaller meals throughout the day because I don't like the feeling of full and overstuffed in my body. So my intention is not to, just eat nothing all day long and then have a huge dinner. Truly, believe it or not, my Thanksgiving dinner will look probably a lot like what a lot of my dinners look like. And I'll have, a little bit of everything that's there and not too much of it. I will have a mindset to stay connected to the people that I'm visiting with and have less of a focus on the content of the food. So that's my intentions going into the day, but who knows what it'll look like. It's also okay if it doesn't go exactly like that. It's just you are much more likely to eat in accordance with your intention if you mentally rehearse them ahead of time. So as we're moving into Thursday, my invitation to you is that you do a little bit of rehearsing of what do you want the day to feel like? How do you want it to go? Not from a restrictive or a structured standpoint, but just so that you can recall that information so much easier on the day, right? And then start to think about how you will feel on Friday morning and what happens on Friday morning, right? Because one of the biggest mistakes we make is that we don't like how we've eaten on Thursday. We still have Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the weekend left. We're frustrated with ourselves. Friday, we start, saying to heck with it. I blew it on Thursday, so I'm going to eat whatever I want all throughout the weekend. And then we spend 4 days eating in a way that makes us feel bad about ourselves. So commit to making Friday morning your most important decision of the whole Thanksgiving holiday. Let me know what specific questions you have about planning for Thanksgiving. I'll talk a little bit more about planning tomorrow. And then also let me know how the gratitude is going. I should be back on, I'm not even going to commit to a time. This week is just a little bit crazy with family and travel and things. So I don't want to commit to a time and not show up, but I will be here tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. All right, can't wait to hear your questions, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.